How's it going, everyone? It is Anime Outlet, and this is part 1 of What If Deku had the Byakugan. And now, before I start this What If off, I would like to thank True Beta for making the thumbnails for this series. A link in the description to their channel. There's also a link in the description to my new Twitter, where I'll be posting updates on what the next series will be, and just sneak peeks at the next thumbnail for the next video. So go follow that if you wish. There's also going to be a link to the channel Reddit down there, so you can join that if you want as well. And now, let's begin. Izuku would be born with the same blank eyes as his mother, completely white and just blank of all life, as it was the exact same eyes that his mother had. The doctor would look at Izuku before looking back at Inko. While I'm no quirk doctor, it does appear that your son Izuku here, that's what you named him, right? Correct, Inko would follow. It appears he has the same quirk as you. I'm not sure if the eyes is what your quirk is, but it just appears so. Inko would nod her head, smiling, and once her and Izuku were released from the hospital, she would end up taking him back to the Hyuga clan residence, as it was a secret residence hidden in the deep, lush forest. Now, the reason of this is because of their Byakugan located within their eyes. This was a very, very highly wanted item, as villains would pay large sums of money to get their hands on this, as it was deemed as one of the most powerful things they had ever seen. As they would end up paying these thousands of dollars for this Byakugan, however, it was fairly hard to get a hold of, mostly because the clan that had it, the Hyuga clan, was thought to be extinct. However, their residence was only within the minds of Hyuga clan members. However, they were allowed to leave, but when they wanted to leave, they would be sealed with a curse mark, which would cause their Byakugan to be destroyed once they died. And sadly, this is what happened to Izuku's father, and was the reason he was absent throughout his life, as Izuku's father, a member of the Hyuga clan, had decided to leave, wanting to become a hero, and he ended up becoming a hero, a very strong one at that. He was no All Might, as he just didn't have the training abilities necessary to become someone as strong as All Might, but he was within the top 50 heroes. Sadly, however, he ended up being killed by a assassin or bounty hunter that wanted his eyes for a collector that had given him a bounty saying that he'll pay top dollar for a Byakugan. However, they were destroyed by being killed, so he had to return empty-handed. So Izuku would end up sitting just inside and growing up within the Hyuga clan residence, without knowing his father, as his mother was the sole lasting just descendant of the Uzumaki, just Naruto and Hinata, as she was a very, very far descendant from them, stemming from that line of people. Say she was Boruto and some other person that was her great grandmother or something, as this world is located hundreds of years in the future from the Naruto world, as that's the only way I see something like the Byakugan just remaining inside, or I could have just made it basic as a quirk. And chakra had evolved into quirks, as it would end up being the evolution of humans, that it was unnecessary for the hand signs, and it would just end up becoming quirks, and the name would end up shifting, as chakra would end up just being phased out, and quirks would end up being phased in. There was never a sign of the first quirk, as people had just started seeing the decline of chakra usage, and the uprising of just being able to use powers at will, these of course being the quirks. So Izuku, once he turned of the age of 4, he would start being trained by the elders and leaders of the Hyuga clan, wanting there to be another strong member of it to protect the others in there that weren't as strong. And Izuku would end up just beginning his training in how to use and master the Byakugan, while also learning the gentle fist from all of these clan elders and leaders. So Izuku would end up aging up, just becoming stronger and stronger within his usage chakra, as this was one of the last groups of people that actually knew how to use chakra. This, of course, being one of the other, of course, uses or users of chakra being the Uchiha clan, which, because of Sasuke, had managed to continue on and would end up growing and spreading. However, the sorry about that, guys. Just blanked on the Sharingan. The Sharingan would end up living on through the descendants of the Uchiha, as they were another user of the just chakra usage. While many of the chakra users and clans had just been killed off, the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan had managed to barely survive. So Izuku would end up being trained by these people, as he would end up having another curse mark, as he had a curse mark placed on him when he was a boy or baby. Just at the very young age, Izuku would end up having a seal placed onto him, relieving it from his mother, as she had to deal with the Nine-Tails Fox, as because he is one of the descendants of the Naruto family, the Nine-Tails Fox would end up being passed down, being sealed within each of the descendants as each of them came and went. So when Izuku has a child, he can choose whether to keep the Nine-Tails Fox until he's old, or to pass it down to his child at a very young and early age. So Izuku would end up having a curse seal on him, which was the Nine-Tails Fox being located inside of him. And the Nine-Tails Fox would end up just liking being with the Uzumaki descendants, as he learned to just deal with Naruto, and so he would end up just agreeing to stick with the Uzumakis for generations upon generations. So Izuku would get training from the Hyuga clan, learning how to use the gentle fist and all of this, and he would also learn how to use some basic other types of chakra from the Nine-Tails Fox. However, I don't want to say the name of the Nine-Tails Fox, because the last time I said it, or the last time I did a what if on this, I believe what if Deku had the Nine-Tails Fox, which it was the actual name, Ku something. I know the name, but a ton of people, I still get comments to this day about people saying I mispronounced it. So I'll say it right now, Kurama. I said it wrong apparently in the video a bunch of times, so people just keep correcting me. I still keep that, and Lost Vein. People keep correcting me on that too, and what if Deku had the 7 deadly sins? I don't know why people keep correcting me, but sure. So I'm not going to say the name, just referring to it as the Nine-Tails Fox. If you guys want to give me a proper pronunciation, just tell me in the comment section, because I don't want to upset any of you because I mispronounced the word. So Izuku would end up being trained somewhat by the Nine-Tails Fox, but not having the Nine-Tails Fox reveal its true power, deeming that Izuku should learn this farther down in his age, so that he didn't hurt himself trying to access this power over and over again because of the promise of power. So Izuku would end up turning the age of 15, as he would end up starting high school. However, he had 10 months before the exams for him to try and get into the UA high school. So Izuku, after telling the Hyuga clan and his mother that he wished to leave and go out and journey and start his journey to becoming a hero, as he had watched heroes on the TV, being All Might and others, saving people, and that is what he decided he wanted to do. The Hyuga clan would end up understanding Izuku's wishes and would end up placing another curse mark on him so that his Byakugan would just be destroyed when he were to die. So Izuku would end up beginning his 10 months worth of grueling training. Every single day he would train with the Hyuga clan, just wanting to train as hard as he could. And so they would end up releasing him with 5 months left, telling him that if he is worthy of becoming a hero, then he can survive in the wild for 5 months, which Izuku would easily be able to do with all of the training he has gotten throughout the years. So Izuku would be released into the wild, where he would survive for 5 months straight, living off of the land. He would even end up starting to grow plants that he had found after just finding a farm, which he had managed to basically steal some of the potatoes that he had found, burying them and making just more potatoes. Which I'm not sure if that's how it works, but it's going to work in this what if. So Izuku would end up finding potatoes and would start a small potato farm by a hut that he had made by knocking down trees and then chopping the trees up, turning it into a small little shack that he had made. It wasn't like the home and residence that he had lived in for years, but it was his home for the last 5 months, and it would do. Izuku would also start to hunt just animals, as he would end up just sitting and waiting and hiding in the tops of trees, waiting for an animal to just cross his path, mostly being deers, rabbits, maybe even a bear or two if he would end up getting lucky, as a bear would end up lasting him days worth of food, so that's what he just wanted the most, as a bear was the best sort of food he could find, but it was very rare for him to find. And he also didn't want the bears hunting up all of the things that he had caught and found, so he would just kill any bear he saw. Izuku would also hunt fish and other sorts of things, and when the 5 months would up, he would return to the Hyuga clan, where they would bid him farewell, as they would give him directions into the city, as he would arrive there, looking over the massive city, where he would then end up finding the UA campus. Walking in, he would sit down, where he would see just a bunch of other people. This was basically his first contact with people other than his clan members. So sitting down, Izuku would end up just watching as a hero named Present Mike would step out onto just this stage sort of thing before speaking. Alright, UA examinees and maybe even future students. Today we are going to be doing the UA test or whatever. It doesn't matter. We're doing an exam today to see if you all will make it into UA. Now, the first test we're going to be doing is the just written exam portion of it. And then if you are not doing the hero test, you all then can leave out the doors, and I will explain the hero test once you all leave. As President Mike would hand out all the slips to the written exam, Izuku would take it and easily pass, having been studying and just all of that sort of thing by his clan for years. Half of his day would be devoted to training, and the other half devoted to studying. A perfect balance of just training and studying, so that Izuku would become very smart and also very strong. Izuku would end up walking out of there stretching, as he had just been told what the hero exam was and where to go if their name started with A through this and then M through. So A through N and then M through that. I'm not sure if N goes before M. I haven't recited the alphabet in I don't know how long. So Izuku would up just walking into one of the doors and hallways, as the door would open up with Izuku flying out of there just hunting for robots, as he would end up finding one before using his hand to punch its head off using the strength that he had gotten through his training. Izuku didn't want to reveal his chakra just yet, deeming that it wasn't worth it, as it just wasn't worth to be used and to waste his vital energy. Izuku would spot a massive horde of robots coming right towards him, as he would then activate his Byakugan. Charging towards them, he would instantly just start punching and kicking all of them, while also using a small knife called a kunai that he had in one of his pockets. Now, one of the teachers would spot this out, seeing how Izuku wasn't allowed to have a weapon there, but they would see the insane just mastery of this blade and how Izuku's clean precision and cuts were able to just go straight through one of the robots, as they would end up just not caring, allowing for Izuku to use this. As Izuku would go around destroying robots, as he would end up seeing some robots appearing from behind him, charging at him, as Izuku was able to jump back behind him, flipping, and was able to kick one of the robots' heads off, as he would then continue on to destroy them. However, he would end up just hearing the ground start to shake, as he wouldn't be hearing the ground shaking, rather seeing it, but hearing just rocks and other sorts of things shaking, mostly the leaves in the trees just violently shaking back and forth. As Izuku would look around to see what could be causing such noise and just the sight of the ground shaking, Izuku would look up to see a massive zero-pointer robot. As Izuku would charge forward, rushing towards it, wondering if it valued any points, as President Mike had lacked the knowledge of it just to explain this to the students that the zero-pointer was best to be just avoided, as it was the most dangerous robot and it also gave them 0 points. Izuku would jump up and would make a Rasengan in his hand, as he had learned that such ability from his mother. Remember, the abilities of Naruto and the Uzumakis had been passed down through their descendants, and so with Inko being basically one of the last descendants, they would end up having the knowledge of the Rasengan. So Izuku would use it right on the zero-pointer, slamming it down into the zero-pointer, as Izuku would know this wasn't going to be enough to defeat it. As Izuku, making a small hole via his Rasengan, would climb into the zero-pointer before just looking around. There he saw different sorts of wires and all of that. Izuku would start to climb up to where he thought was the head and neck area, as he would start to rip and pull apart the different sorts of wires, as using a form of chakra to protect himself from being electrocuted. As Izuku would do this, he would jump out of the zero-pointer before just landing down, as he would see the zero-pointer just start to deactivate before collapsing down, looking like it had deactivated. So Izuku would end up seeing this, knowing that the zero-pointer had now been defeated, and over the intercoms there would then be told that the UA exams had now finished, and that they may now go home and just to wait to see if they had gotten a letter in the mail. However, Izuku knew that the residents didn't have an address, as they couldn't just give that out. So Izuku would end up having to wait around the entrance of UA until UA would end up just being closed, as he had no clue where the entrance of UA was and just didn't want to sort of trespass into the building. So Izuku waiting there would end up spotting Aizawa walking out of the entrance after the exam had finished around an hour after. Izuku would walk up to Aizawa before just stopping him and asking him if he had made it or not. Aizawa would look blankly at Izuku before stating, "You're gonna have to wait at least 2 weeks for the letter to just be met in the mail." "Yeah, but I don't have an address exactly, as I'm not exactly allowed to give it out. So I either need to know if I made it or if I didn't, as you guys pretty much have no form of contacting me." As Izuku, having just been leaving the Hyuga clan residence, would have no place to stay, so Aizawa would sigh before bringing Izuku into Nezu's office, as Nezu would then just see how Izuku had basically no place to stay, as Izuku would explain this to him, as Nezu would end up nodding. "By the looks of it, your eyes, it appears you're one of the Hyuga clan members who have the Byakugan, am I correct?" Izuku would nod his head before asking how Nezu had known about this knowledge. Nezu would end up saying that he's read about it in many different books, and he knows how coveted the eyes are. And so Nezu would end up walking to Cementos' office. Cementos, I'm gonna call him Cementos. I'm pronouncing things weird, as some of you guys. Just say I'm pronouncing many things wrong, and I most likely do. So Izuku would end up seeing Nezu just walk into this office before he would come out, saying that just within a couple of days, the UA dorms would end up being completed, as he just asked the teacher to build the dorms so that students can live on campus, which would also protect them from any villain attacks that may happen. Izuku would nod his head, being happy that he'll probably have a place to stay after this, as Nezu would then look towards Aizawa. Well, Izuku, I can already tell you made it into Class 1A, which just happens to be Aizawa's classroom. So, with that knowledge, why don't you stay with Aizawa, since he is going to be your teacher after all? Maybe you can get to know him quite a bit earlier than many of your other students. Zuko would nod his head as Aizawa would then sigh, having to deal with another burden after just having received a cat in the mail. Well, not exactly in the mail, having found it on the street during hero work, and he now had to deal with that, and now some random kid that he has never met before. And that's where I'm gonna leave this what if off, everyone. I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye.